Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the 7-Minute Takeover, where we chat all things acquisitions. We're your hosts. I'm Liz Prey.
I'm Eamon Gamble.
Today, which myth are we tackling, Eamon?
Today, we're looking at business valuations. Some folks come into these transactions thinking business valuations are going to be required or they're ubiquitous in every transaction. So we're going to break down this storyline.
Yep. So they can be situational. And so there are some situations where they're absolutely necessary and others where it can be an option. So typical situations where we see that a business valuation is very highly recommended is when there might be a partnership dissolution, where partners are exploring other options and one wants to exit the business or potentially both, or one's buying out the other. When it's an employee ownership and the employee is buying the business, when there's a divorce situation, you're going to want an external third-party independent valuation done on the business, where it's arm's length. And the other situations are when it's required by a lender. So SBA requires a valuation done on Main Street. And then it may just be wise when you go into selling your business that you understand how valuation is perceived and how a valuation is compiled. And typically the broker or the M&A firm will do their own valuations of the company before taking it to market.
Yeah, and so these are some of the situations where it's going to be pretty much required. Even when it's not required, though, business valuations hold a lot of value, which is why buyers and sellers will often opt to have one done. They contain a lot of that independent research that if you're working with lenders or with investors, they appreciate the legwork that often goes into a business valuation. There's a lot of good information that'll come out of that, a lot of professional analysis that you as a buyer can leverage, even in making your own determination about the valuation of the business. But in reality, most buyers and sellers are looking to minimize costs during the transaction. And so a business valuation comes at a cost. And so there's obviously a calculus being done of, is this worth the cost that I'm paying? So what are some reasons, Liz, that maybe people opt not to have a business valuation done?
So we often see it in situations where the business owner is selling to a known party to them, and they just may wait for that buying party to propose an offer and suggest an asking price. And then if it meets their expectations, then they can move forward. And another situation may be where they just don't want to spend the money and they are just waiting for offers. And so they're kind of pushing it down the road, only doing evaluation if absolutely necessary. But I also want to mention the distinction between when a chartered business valuator is brought in versus a broker and M&A firm. So a chartered business valuator is someone who carries a designation to do a certain degree and provide a level of sophistication in valuation, and they are upholden to the standards of their professional designation, and so they have to do a certain kind of depth of valuation. And then you get valuations done by business brokers, which is more considered an opinion of value. And those valuations may not be shared with the purchaser of the business. They're not obligated to share how they arrived at that valuation. So there is a difference too. So when I mentioned, reasons to get a valuation being, partnership dissolution, employee buyout, or divorce, those are typically valuations that are done by that chartered business valuator versus an opinion of value in those situations.
Yeah, and the reality is that, a lot of the transactions that we advise on, the resulting multiple and the data that comes from that transaction is not reported to any regulator. It's not reported to any group. And so there can often be a question about the reliability of the inputs that go into some of these business valuations at the lower end of the market. When you see a valuation that's done that's only based on 3 comparable transactions, how relevant were those comparable transactions? How similar to our transaction are they? And if they're doing a discounted cash flow valuation of the company, what are the assumptions going into the discount rate? There's a lot of thin and potentially biased market data available for even the most rigorous chartered business valuation expert to work from, leading to the perception that, sure, yeah, this is what the valuation says, but I don't necessarily trust as the counterparty all the inputs that went into it.
Yeah. So it is something to be consciously aware of, is that where is the market comparable data coming from? We have seen where, it's a Main Street business, but the comparable data and the multiples that the valuation is being extracted from is coming from mid-market data. And so bigger companies sell at bigger multiples, and using that data to value a Main Street business may not be apples to apples. So again, very important for both parties to understand how are valuations conducted and where is the comparable data coming from. So it's always wise to do your own evaluation as a purchaser. Eamon?
Yeah, and if the seller has prepared a valuation and offers it to you as a buyer, thank them for the time and expense they went through. Review it closely. It could contain a lot of good information. But as Liz said, stick to your own valuation techniques and you'll see success.
Absolutely. So myth sort of busted.
Well, yeah, we won't call this one busted, but it's not an ironclad rule, that's for sure.
Yep. Get some opinions, get some second opinions for sure.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please be sure to subscribe, follow us on social media, and check out our website at villagewealth.com.